Welcome to an Animorphs Book Club podcast, where we talk about the Animorphs, we read the Animorphs, one book at a time.
I'm Mustard. Wait, no, we do an order, don't we?
Yes, we do.
I just thought of a new way to introduce ourselves.
A new way? What's the
I'm
new
Mustard.
way?
A brand new way.
What's the new way?
It's because he doesn't
I'm
take a
Mustard.
pause between mustard.
It's not okay.
It's
Do the
revolutionary. for
do the
mustard.
intros.
I'm Mustard.
I'm Mustard.
I'm Mustard.
I'm not.
Okay, the first person who said I'm Mustard in that line of four, that's Be Natural.
No, it was Mustard.
She has read the Animorphs books before,
No, you
many
have.
years ago. And
I've
the
only
second
read the
person,
Babysitter's Club.
the second person was Badder, and like all the people other than Be Natural, he has not read. This is a confusing way to format this sentence. That's my new revolutionary intro. And then I'm Mustard, and that's not my story.
We literally used to do that before we just gave up on that.
Yeah, but it's just because I forgot. And
It's not revolutionary.
it's not. I'm not. You guys said that. I said new, which was incorrect. Anyway, we read book.
29, The
29,
Sickness.
The Sickness.
Don't push those when we're talking.
Sorry, I just wanted to put the more towards the center.
Be Natural wrote it wrong when she was setting up the emails.
Yeah, I wrote. I accidentally when we printed out the PDFs of these, I accidentally inserted an E in the middle of the title.
The sickness.
So everyone is done with The Sickness.
Well, just a couple people in this book, I think. You're gonna summarize it, right?
Yeah.
We got sick in preparation for this.
Oh yeah.
I went to the hospital.
Stu, you went to the hospital like last. That's why it's been like a month since we recorded last.
It's been a while since he summarized a book, so he knew that he had to, he knew he had to get into the minds of the characters in order to. So he got sick. He got pneumonia.
First I had a fever and I was throwing up, and then I got pneumonia.
Just like Jake in this book. I read this book like a month ago, by the way, so it's not completely fresh in my mind. But I did listen to a text-to-speech voice read off the full book on 4 times speed today. So
Cassie's about to make a change for the better.
wait, this is the summary?
No, that's the tagline.
Oh, are we talking about the cover first?
I guess.
Cassie turns into a derpy Yeerk.
Oh yeah, we talked about this last week, didn't we?
I like that it's gray. With
It's
green.
not gray, it's green.
It's got gray in the background, which is neat.
Sure. Yeah, the color of the background is good. It looks like lead.
It goes well
it looks
with
like how you would describe the Yeerk pool.
it goes well with her outfit, I think.
Good colors. Good job, David Mattingly.
It's yellow highlights on the Animorphs title because they pick a different color each time. And Cassie's wearing a yellow shirt, so
Okay, now let's do the summary.
yeah.
Stu, how long is it? Is your summary written in haikus again?
No.
Oh, what? But all of them were in the past.
That's so sad.
Were they?
Were they?
I believe so.
I think only like the first one, right?
No, he definitely
I'd have to go back, but I think it was
multiple
every time.
I started writing haikus and I was like, okay, chapter 4 is too much to put into one haiku. I give up.
That's fair. Yeah. Well, I remember a lot of the previous times you summarized with haikus, we'd have to stop you and go like, wait, no, you skimmed over like 18 things. And you're like, no, when I say they went to the ship, that implies that. They fight the Visser and get him to walk away. Lauren holds the orb. Chapter 45.
And then they zap themselves back to Earth.
Yeah, they zap themselves
in
back
the
to
real
Earth.
universe.
That's implied by Lauren holding the orb, since touching the orb does stuff.
Nobody
it's
calls it
not.
the orb.
It's an orb. It's a magic orb that does space stuff.
Alright, whatever. You can't just say
Sci-fi
Lauren
orb.
touches the orb, though. You should
Like,
say...
it implies that I took them back to Earth. We're like, no.
Well, listen, you don't need every detail in the book.
Okay.
You don't. This is why my summaries are the best and the shortest, because it's like... My summary of this would be like, they all get sick, and then Cassie does surgery, the end.
Okay, well, let's start talking about the book then, since you... Stu, do you summary.
Okay, there's a stool dance and Cassie dances with Jake, but then Axe is at the dance and he starts accidentally demorphing. And then one of the teachers, Mr. Tidwell, sees it.
The strictest teacher.
He's one of the strictest teachers.
No, he's the strictest teacher, right?
And he pulled Cassie aside. He's like, hey, listen, I know that you had Adamorph.
He's the strictest teacher in the school,
Yeah,
sir.
that's canon. I wrote that down as it should go in the
You
canon
wrote that in
channel.
the canon channel?
Well, no, I didn't yet. I wrote in my notes as add this to the canon channel.
my gosh.
But then by the time the book ended, I was like, there's more important stuff about this teacher. That Anyway, continue with your summary.
Mr. Tidwell tells Cassie that he's a controller and he knows about the Animorphs, but he's part of the peace movement.
The Yeerk peace movement.
The Yeerk peace movement.
I should stop interrupting you.
And you can keep interrupting me. And he tells Cassie that Aftran 942, who's the Yeerk that saved Cassie,
in book 19,
is captured and will be interrogated by Visser 3. And if that happens, then everyone's screwed. Because Visser 3's interrogation is foolproof.
I don't know if I buy that. I don't know if I buy it.
So do you have a summary written out while you're just sitting the...
I don't know
you said, it's foolproof, as if that's like where the book ends.
I don't know if I buy that Mr. 3's interrogation is
it's a
foolproof.
summary.
Okay, so Mr. Tidwell... my summary doesn't have pauses in it, because I have to read... I have a summary for every chapter,
well, I can cut out...
chapter's important.
I guess I can cut out the pauses. Whatever.
Yeah. Mr. Tidwell keeps Chapman away from Act, so that Chapman doesn't see Act, because Chapman's a controller, not part of the Yeerk peace movement.
Okay.
And then they get Act out of the school. Then back at the barn, Act tells...
barnyard.
Yeah. Act tells the other Animorphs that he has a disease called yam foot, and he needs to have his tree gland removed.
I've never heard anybody say it out loud.
Me neither. Now it sounds really stupid.
His feet have yams in them.
Yeah.
It's where an andalite steps on a yam and it gets lodged in the throat of the foot of their hoof.
No, that's not what it is.
Yam foot.
He has yam foot, and he needs to have his tree gland removed from his head, or he will die.
I think it's a tree.
I believe it's Triad Land as well.
Okay.
Like how we always mispronounce every single thing in these books. Like,
and then Cassie tells the other Animorphs about Mr. Tidwell and the Yeerk peace movement, and they decide to go to the Yeerk pool to save Ilum. Wait, not Ilum. No, they save Aftran.
Oh, by the way, sorry to interrupt the summary again, but since you're pausing here, I'll just say this. This episode is being recorded at 2 p.m. in the afternoon.
This is the earliest we've ever recorded an episode.
I think it might be, yeah. So Stu will not be falling asleep this time.
Yeah.
Well,
We're recording at a reasonable hour.
Chapter 7, back at the barnyard again. The Animorphs get
Someone write a
Yeerk.
fanfiction where Otis from back at the barnyard is an animal.
The Animorphs get Yeerk to hide Axe with a hologram in the barn until they get to the Yeerk pool and then come back to do surgery on him. Then they morph eels and go through some pipelines. But Jake starts throwing up as an eel. So
Okay. The reason they're morphing eels is because they want to get into the Yeerk pool and they know that there's toilets in there so they can go through the sewer lines. They don't just do it for no reason. You're just saying this as if this book makes no sense.
It was a fun water slide level.
Yeah, there's a fun water slide.
The Mario
level.
water slide music is playing over this whole chapter.
The Mario water slide music plays. And then Jake gets sick, so they have to turn back. And then they go through a wrong pipe and they end up in a fireman hose. A firefighter hose. And they slam into a burning building.
Yeah.
And then they demorph, and then Jake is like, hey, the building's burning. Go up the stairs. Which is not what he's supposed to do in real life.
Really? He said that?
That's
yeah,
true.
he says go up the stairs.
Okay, continue with this.
There's
It's supposed to be a quick,
fire,
5-minute summary.
No,
and
I'm
then we talk
enjoying
about
this.
I'm enjoying it too.
Jake throws up and Axe says, hey, Yamfoot, it's contagious.
Jake throws up and puts out the fire. It's on the news, like miraculous vomiting boy puts out fire.
No, it doesn't happen. Jake throws up and then Axe is like, oh no, you're down with the sickness too. It's contagious. All of the Animorphs will get this in the book except for Cassie.
They do say that in the dialogue.
Then Rachel gets sick. Yeah. Then Cassie talks to Mr. Tidwell and he's like, hey, listen, the interrogation's gonna happen tonight. You have to go save Aftran tonight. And then Marco gets sick.
Oh, you didn't say this, but the Yeerk peace movement, it means that the Yeerk in his head is like friends with him. Like they have an agreement.
Yeah.
To be a controller in order to help.
Sure. Then Marco gets sick, and then Cassie's like, I know, I will morph a Yeerk to save Aftran. But, Axe is getting delirious, so, like, his Yamfoot's getting really bad, his Triagland's gonna explode, and he's gonna die. Then Tobias gets sick, and then Cassie's like, oh no, Axe is getting worse. I gotta find tools to do brain surgery on him. And then Cassie goes to Mr. Tidwell's house and morphs his Yeerk. And then, so Cassie morphs the Yeerk in Mr. Tidwell, and then goes in Mr. Tidwell So she's a Yeerk inside Mr. Tidwell.
Yeah, I understand.
And they go to the Yeerk pool.
Wait.
Well, for clarification, they go to the Yeerk pool as Mr. Tidwell.
Yeah.
And she's a Yeerk inside him.
I'm confused. Did she collect all the surgery tools yet?
Yeah, she collected the surgery tools.
And she gets
from
in
the
his car.
Oh yeah, she drives.
That's not important! I said that as a joke!
How many trash cans?
I
does she
know,
get?
so did I.
Oh,
Mr.
and-
Tidwell's Yeerk is in a bag of water.
Yeah, in his pocket.
In his,
I forgot
in his
about that.
in his coat pocket,
Yeah,
like his chest pocket.
Yeah.
Anyway, Cassie goes to the Yeerk pool as Mr. Tidwell.
Yeah, with the Yeerk inside his head.
So they can get into the Yeerk pool because Cassie's DNA is Yeerk DNA. That's recognized. That goes in there.
Specifically it's Ilum.
Yeah.
Then she goes out of his ear into the Yeerk pool, and then she swims around, and she finds.
Wait, why was Cassie in a man's ear? Oh, she was a Yeerk. That's she was controlling him.
Wait, yeah. How is she able to breathe in the Yeerk pool?
She's a Yeerk.
Oh, yeah.
And then she finds Aftran in a cage in the Yeerk pool, and then Visser 3 shows up, and he's like, "I'm gonna do the interrogation." And then Cassie morphs into an osprey and flies away with the Yeerk. First she climbs into a random girl's ear and punches Visser 3. And Visser 3's like, whoa, and he drops Aftran, and then Cassie flies away with Aftran. And then it's time to do surgery on Axe, and she's like, oh no, where's the triad gland?
Wait, so she leaves the Yeerk pool?
Yeah.
Isn't she an owl?
No.
Well, see, Cassie has the ability to morph to add different animals and even back to human at times. So she turned back into a human at some point, I assume.
Oh, that's why it's called Animorphs.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she flies away with
But how did
Aftran.
Cassie get to this? How did Cassie get into Mr. Tidwell's head if she was an owl? Furthermore, why was she even going to this school?
Cassie goes back to the barnyard to do surgery on Act, and she's like, oh no, where's the triad gland? And she's like, I know, I'll have this Yeerk go into Act's brain and tell me where it is. So she takes Aftran, and she's like, hey, go in Act's ear and tell me where the gland is. And then she does that. And she's like, it's right here, dude. And then she removes it. Then Act is no longer delirious. And then they're like, well, we have this friendly Yeerk, we can't give her Kandrona rays because if she goes to the pool, she's interrogated by Visser 3 again. So we'll just give her the morphing power and turn her into a well forever.
She has to choose what animal.
Well, everyone agreed on that. She chose which animal.
So basically, she became Jesus in the most literal sense of the word.
She did.
Good. That was
We
fun.
all like this book. It was a very good book.
This was a good book. This was a sequel to book 19 in a way.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, directly, I guess.
A
Cause
good spiritual success.
same characters.
Good. Before I read this book, Mustard said we haven't had a book as good as book 7 in a while, and I was
That's
like,
not
"Are you?"
What?
That is
not what I
literally.
said.
Those are like the exact
Not
words.
before I read the book.
Before I read the book,
Oh, okay.
and you had read the book. You read the book
Yeah.
before me, and you said to me, "We haven't had a book as good as book 7 in a while." And I'm like, "Are you freaking kidding me? We had book 19.
What even happened in book 7?
Like the Elements showed up, and like they."
None of you guys even liked book 7.
But listen,
Can I?
Then-
how would I explain
But
what
then,
I meant?
but
instead
then
of
Mustard
you?
said, "No, I meant there hasn't been a book as good as book 7, but not better than book 7. We haven't had a book of the quality of book 7 exactly in a long time." And after reading this book, I'm like, "Okay, yeah, you're right. This is what that is. I guess this book is about as good as book
better
7."
Than book 7.
I would say this book is about on par with the very first book. Is how I view this book.
I don't know. They're very
this is
different.
better than the first book.
They're very different.
Because it's not okay. Because I feel like a lot of the books recently have either been really bad
Yeah.
or like above average. I think.
No, yeah, reading this
I guess I should say I don't think this book is incredible, but I do think it was a very nice
It has
book.
its flaws.
Reading this book, I was like
It's
actually
not book
reminded
19.
that Animorphs is capable of being enjoyable to read, which is not something that I got from the last 2 books.
This book has better pacing than most Animorph books, I think.
My last
I
novel
don't
was a
know
nice
about
book,
that.
and I can't.
Well, maybe most, I guess.
Yeah, so I don't know if this is like a spoiler, but like you gave us a list of like the ghostwriters at some point,
Mm-hmm.
and it's from Wikipedia. And the ghostwriter of this book was one of, if not the only ghostwriter who had their own Wikipedia page. So, like, this is an author who has done other stuff.
That's interesting.
So, like,
Cool.
there's a reason that this one's better than the others,
I know
I
what they're
think.
doing.
While
Yeah.
reading this book, I felt like the Animorphs were actually characters. Like, a lot of I was actually, like, writing down a lot of the interactions the Animorphs are having with each other, like, while at school and stuff, which is not something I've done in a very long time. Like, I've not really been, like, enjoying the interactions they have with each other, like, the banter.
Yeah.
I liked
In a
it when
very
the
long
Animorphs were
time.
at school, and I got a lot of that. It was very good during the first chapter.
For anyone who forgot, listeners, the last, like, 4 books we've read have all been ghostwritten. Like,
Yeah.
the halfway point, a lot of them are ghostwritten. And this is the first good one, I would say.
Yeah,
of the ghostwritten
like
books.
the last few books, like when the Animorphs talk, I like literally, not literally, you know what I mean? They really just feel like puppets. Like it's like then the author like freaking like writes Marco said, leans over, checks notes. Note says Marco is funny one. Then like puts like generic joke, and then like okay, Cassie said. Leans over, checks notes. Cassie is sensitive one. Okay, right? Like, that's what I felt like the ghostwriters have been doing so far with the characters for the most part. But this book, they actually had, like... Seemed like the ghostwriter did their homework. Is her name Lisa Ortiz, or am I just making that up? Is that her name?
Melinda Metz, with a Z.
So
Okay.
what else did she do?
I don't know.
You didn't read the Wikipedia page?
No. I didn't... All I see is that in the PDF I have, which is downloaded from Wikipedia, her name is Blue. And all the other names are black for the most part.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, okay, anyway. Melinda Metz seems like she actually, like, read Book 19, read some other Animorphs books, actually understands, like, 3-dimensionally how these characters are supposed to interact with each other, you know, more than, like, the way that the other authors have been writing it.
Yeah. Well, because I remember there was, like, one of my notes was, like, Marco says a joke, and then it actually ends up... Well, it seems like it's something funny, but then it ends up actually being related to, like, the plot, and, like, stuff like
The
that
monkey
happens,
thing?
you know? No, the toilet thing.
Yeah.
When he's like, oh, does the yoga pool have toilets? But then it ends up, like, being a plan. And it's like, yeah, that's, like, good,
Yeah.
I think.
It's funny how I was reading that and I immediately knew, like, of course...
Oh, see, I
that it-
didn't.
Oh, okay. Because I didn't even think of that as a joke, actually. Like, I didn't even think of that as, like, a funny moment. I was just thinking, like... Because I already knew what was going to happen.
Anyway, so my first note, and this was actually written after, it was written, like, a couple weeks after I read the book, was... I heard my dad talking about, like, how a good book should always have a good opening line.
You heard your dad saying this?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
In real life. And I was like, oh, I wonder what the opening line of book 19 is. And I
My
realized,
name is Cassie.
I don't know if everyone else knew this. Every single book starts the same. I didn't know
You didn't
that.
know that?
Buster,
That's like the
that-
most iconic thing about Animorphs.
No, I didn't know.
Literally, the first episode of the show is called "My Name Is Jake Part 1,"
Yeah.
and then "My Name Is Jake Part 2."
So I looked through every single book that we've read so far. And
I can't believe you're just now finding this out.
Yeah, I didn't realize.
29th time book starts with "My Name Is."
Well, I know they always, like, introduce who they are, but I didn't realize it was the exact same line every time.
Yeah.
I never noticed. So 1 through 5 is "My Name Is," followed by the author, right? Book 6 is an exception. It just starts with "I'm Jake."
Well, this is why Book 6 is awesome.
No, there's more exceptions.
Book 6 is so good.
So book 7's normal.
Book
and
14
Megamorphs.
starts with a big long fart sound effect.
Book 8, a lot of books have prologues. They don't start with that, but then after the prologue, it starts normal.
Mm-hmm.
Chapter 1 in 8 starts with "My full name is," and then Axe says his full name, because it was Axe's introduction.
Book 6, Book 8, these are both good books.
And then, like, normal, unique, or just, you know, there's prologues and stuff, but, like, 7 through 25 in Megamorphs 2, Hope Is Your Chronicles, up through this, all "My Name Is," except the one major exception is book 16. We might have mentioned this in the episode, but I remember it.
So everybody says my screen name is B-Ball24
The first line is, "I typed B-Ball24.
That's
Interesting.
crazy. I can't imagine that. That's actually crazy.
Yeah, it is. It's the only book where the first line, not including prologues, is not either "My name is" or "My full name is" or "I'm." It's "I typed B-Ball24.
I guess that's something that we'll have to keep in mind.
Yeah. Now, "My name is Jake" does appear a few sentences later,
Right,
but it's
yeah.
not the first one. It's with every single other book.
Capelgate writing a book, not beginning... But what's their name? Capelgate reading every book written ever that's not Animorphs. Wait, what's their name? For, like, the first 4 paragraphs or whatever, however long it takes.
So yeah, not very significant note, but I thought it was interesting to me, especially about book 16 being different. Anyway, we can talk about the actual book now.
For this I mean, like, I've been getting used to just, like, I was like, reading this chapter 1, Chapter 1 of Animorphs books are, like, almost all the same as each other, no matter what book you're reading. But I was, like, just about to write that in my notes, like, oh, here we go again with this Chapter 1 bullshit. I'm so tired of reading the same thing over and over again. But then, one sentence, I was, like, one sentence away from, like, writing that out, and then, like, this stuff got going. So it was not as painful as usual, Chapter 1. Or at least in the first
I like
Chapter
that
1.
Cassie's still upset about ripping that Hork-Bajer's throat out.
Yeah.
After all this time. 10 books later.
The way this book references book 19, like, seems like, it's, like, obviously...
It feels so natural.
Yeah, it's, like, natural, which is crazy. Like, I feel like...
No one ever talks about book 19.
I feel like there's, like, other times, other books that I'm blanking on right now that are, like, they'll just conspicuously reference a previous book because something from that previous book will come up, and it'll be, like, just totally, like, oh, and by the way, there's this thing going on that we normally don't put in our introductions, but we're putting in our introductions this time anyway. Lol, no reason, and then the thing comes back. Like, but this time it actually makes sense. They just wrote it, the way they wrote it in was, like, very natural, and it was like, yeah, because Cassie's character changed from that book, and so that's part of her arc, and it's obviously relevant to this book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was also my first note.
The Jake.
If we sound slightly
My
different,
Jake.
it's because we changed seats.
I liked when she
think
said my Jake for some reason, I don't really know why.
I think the Jake x Cassie stuff in this book was pretty good.
Okay,
Yeah.
my second note was like...
It was
I
very
hate it.
subdued,
It was
for
very
one
good.
thing.
Well, my
That's
second
good.
note was like, why do all these ghostwritten books start with like some kind of like romance love triangle thing?
I feel like, did they not do that before?
Not
Well,
really.
there was-
Not as much, no.
There was a book where like, no, because like the first book where like any of the characters other than the main ones had romance was like Marco went to like a date with some girl at a movie theater, and then like the very
Wasn't
next...
that book 29? I mean 25?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the first
So that's
ghostwritten
supporting
one.
Yeah.
Mustard's idea.
And then like I think like the very next book involved like Rachel and like some boy who like she liked, but she liked Tobias too. And then this one starts with like Cassie overhearing some girl say she wants to ask Jake on a date, and it's not bothersome. It's just weird. Like why is this
interesting.
such a recurring thing with the ghostwritten books?
I never noticed that.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of kids authors are kind of preoccupied with the romance, and K.A. Applegate is probably the exception.
Yeah. Like I don't think it's bad. It's just like why is this every single ghostwritten book? Like 3 of 5 of them, you know. Not that they're extremely similar plot points, but you know, it's just a strange pattern I thought.
It is interesting, and there's at least one more like first chapter romance thing that I can think of in upcoming books. So
I'm looking at the words, Jake choked on his macaroni and beef.
yeah, I love that whole exchange where Rachel says, "You and my cousin make me want to hurl. Jake can face death every day, but he can't manage to ask a girl to dance, and you're no better. Me? What am I supposed to do?" I protested. "Even Allison the airhead knows," Rachel said. Allison is the girl who was going to ask Jake on the date. Rachel sat down next to Marco. She put my yogurt next to Jake. I took the hint and sat next to him. "We are all going to the dance Thursday night," Rachel informed Jake, "and you are taking Cassie." Jake choked on his macaroni and beef. Marco started banging him on the back. I like these, like, this is like the first, like, interaction of these characters that feels natural to me in a while. So I wrote that down. It just...
Jake choked on Marco's beef. Marco started
No.
banging him.
I did write down some lines that seemed kind of funny. "Every time we try to do something nice and normal, it ends up turning out nasty and weird," he said. "Every single time."
Well,
I was just gonna say I like macaroni and beef.
the line I wrote that was funny was picture guys mostly with guys, girls mostly with girls, but with lots of eye
Gay?
contact.
Gay? Question mark?
At the
That is
dance.
pretty gay.
Mostly?
X
For them.
starts freaking out because he's at the dance and somebody Marco says this weird thing. "It means that girl over there is warm for your form," Marco told him. "It means she wants your body." And of course, because he worded that like that for some reason, X gets freaked out that she wants to like possess him, I guess.
Do you think the intention is that Marco, like, intentionally words things in those ways to freak Axe out because he thinks it's funny, or do you think the intention is that Marco like isn't aware of how he talks?
I would assume it was the second, but it would be better if it was the first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that going either way, honestly. Because then through the whole dance, Axe is like, "You won't have my body, body."
Buddy!
And I was like, this is pretty funny, I
Yeah.
guess.
It was pretty funny. X was good in this book.
Yeah.
He's like, "I will shuffle my artificial hooves on the floor with you, but you cannot have my body, my buddy." That's paraphrasing, something like that.
My body. Body? Body? You just keep saying body. It's a fun time.
Look at that, a flying pig, Rachel exclaimed. Then, oh, sorry, my mistake. I thought for a minute I saw a flying pig, but I didn't, and that's the only time I would go out with you.
Because Marco asks her, Marco, right? She's like, oh,
Yeah.
that means you need a dance, don't you?
I just thought it was funny that she decided to explain the whole flying pig.
Yeah. I like that. It's a fun, this book has fun dialogue.
Rachel's just so on point with this book. Like, this is the Rachel that I love, not the Rachel from other book that I don't like, that I can't remember right now. Let's say book 12.
13.
Not 13's great. You mean 12 is
12?
Alligator book.
12.
But like even by chapter 2, I wrote like, yeah, so far this is far more interesting than the previous book. Like,
Yeah.
I only have one note for the whole book.
what? What does that
Is it,
mean?
yeah, whale time?
No.
Typical stir.
I had way more notes for this book than like most other books.
Me too.
Like I had 8 pages of notes. I
I
mean,
have a lot of
it's double.
notes.
It's
I
kind of.
said I got bogged down by notes again after having a pretty easy time for the last few books.
I have a lot of stuff like copied.
I literally listened to the last
highlighted.
book on like the text to speech thing. I didn't even read it, most of it, and like this, and then this book came along, and I'm like, no way could I have done that with this book. This book is so much more like substantial.
Yeah. Jake says he dances like a lumberjack. I like that. And then Marco says a lumberjack who's just chopped off one of his own legs. Like a one-legged lumberjack whose remaining leg is a tree stump. And I thought, like, too bad this isn't a Jake book, so we could call the episode Jake Dances Like a Lumberjack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we can maybe save that for the next one, depending on.
Just name it that for no reason.
The rest of the Jake books will be called Jake Dances Like a Lumberjack Part 1, Jake Dances Like a Lumberjack Part 2.
You can't do that.
We
Please.
just can't. We just can't. We'll get banned.
I had a lot of names for this episode that were like callbacks to previous names, like Finally a Good Ghostwritten Book and like Funny Snake Tube Part 2.
Finally, a good freaking Cassie book, Part 2.
Oh, this is a Cassie book.
There's a good Cassie book.
Cassie's been, like, on a roll recently. Cassie's been, like, the saving grace of the Animorphs recently.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah,
Which is, like, most unexpected comeback.
well, cause we never liked Cassie as a character, but the Animals Book Club, they were like huge fans of Cassie immediately. Was shocked because none of us liked book 4.
Did they
I
know
liked
something?
book 4.
No, 'cause I don't think they.
Were they
maybe
really
they did.
going into the series blind, like they said?
I don't know.
How could you like Cassie without having read these books? How can you like
Yeah.
Cassie having only read book 4? Come on.
They liked her farm girl aesthetic.
Farm.
Yeah, I liked her farm girl aesthetic and her being nice and all that. It just was very poorly used.
Yeah,
So maybe they just like the idea of Cassie.
maybe. Because I like Cassie a lot now.
Yeah, she's like a great character.
Like since
now.
book 19 and this.
Like the way that Cassie writes about Yeerks in these opening like chapters, like when Yeerks enter a host, they get hit with thousands of new sensations. I can hardly wrap my mind around what it must feel like. I have to narrow it down for myself. I'll pick one thing, like color, then I'll close my eyes and try to imagine. I've never seen any color of any kind. When I open my eyes, the array of colors around me makes me dizzy, and color is only one part of sight, and sight is only one part of the new senses Yeerks experience in a host. But I didn't bother telling my friends what I was thinking about. None of them are all that interested in considering the joys a Yeerk can find in a host. Not that I can blame them. Yeerks are the enemy. It's easier for us to do our job if we see them as pure evil. Like,
I love thinking about the new joys Yeerk can find in the
yeah.
West.
And it's like, man, Cassie's like such a cool person. Like, I
Yeah,
don't-
just
like-
legitimately.
like she just like sits around thinking about like, man, these people were like murdering, but like I can't tell my friends about it because, or I can't, like my friends don't care, but I still love my friends. Like there's all these parts in the book where she's writing about her friends that are like clearly like, you know, communicating that she just really wants her friends to be happy, and like she cares, even in this dance scene, like she just cares about her friends. But then she also like sees her friends as like genocidal towards these like things that towards these beings that she wants to consider as people, but they don't want to do that. And it's like, they don't like explore that much, but I do appreciate that being there.
Yeah.
I spotted Axe, Marco, Rachel, and Tobias dancing in a group nearby. I hoped that Rachel and Tobias got a chance to break away and have a dance by themselves. Like, she's so sweet. She just wants their friends to like get to have some time together.
Mm-hmm.
But also she's like conflicted about the Yeerks and stuff, and her friends don't like Yeerks.
Don't mind the goat noises outside.
Yeah, sorry about that. And also Cassie's recap of the Yeerks is like this recap where she's like talking about like, oh, what it must be like to be a Yeerk and see all the colors. First of all, I feel like it's kind of a natural thing to put in this book without it just seeming, like, to me, it doesn't seem like too heavily foreshadowing, even though the cover shows you what's going to happen anyway. But, like, it's also more interesting than the other Animorphs recaps of the Yeerks, which is just like, oh no, Yeerks are so scary. Imagine if you don't have any control of your body. Oh no, so scary. Like, nothing from the Yeerk's perspective at all.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad that we got another sympathetic Yeerk in this one. It warmed my heart, the relationship that Mr. Tidwell had with his Yeerk.
Yeah.
Because did his Yeerk, like, help him through, like, a really hard time?
Yeah, his Yeerk, like, became his companion after his wife died.
Yeah.
I'm finding out
that's
that
so
your
sweet.
that your fan fiction about a Yeerk who's friends with the host is not an original idea at all.
Wait,
What
what? When did I tell you about that?
Mustard.
What do you mean? What? What do you mean mustard?
When did I ever say that it was an original idea, either?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be an
Well, you were
original
like, oh yeah,
idea.
no, I had this cool story about like it
I'm
was.
finding out that your Animorphs fanfiction steals many elements from the popular YA
No, but-
series Animorphs.
No, but when
I'm
you-
very disappointed in you,
No.
Mr. B Natural. I thought it was more original than this.
When you said there was like a Yeerk who was like a friend with the host and they like benefited each other, like
When did I say that? And also, like, was I just describing, like, a fanfiction, I
Yeah.
guess?
Mustard, Be Natural. I thought it was one that you wrote, but maybe...
I mean, I did write... I didn't
Or
write
maybe
anything down.
you probably
I just
didn't
had
write it. It
in
was an
my head.
idea you had in your head.
Yeah.
But if that's just an idea, like, why would you have an idea of a character that already exists in the anime?
Well, because I had,
It's
like,
not a character that already existed.
Because I had names for them, and they were like, it was like an Andalite character this time, and they lived in like a society where Yeerks and hosts
Oh, it was an
all
Andalite? Okay.
were like that.
I forgot it was an Andalite. What are those goats doing?
They're like fighting with their horns.
Okay. Just like Axe is fighting with...
Yamfoot. Which I've never thought about pronouncing out loud, and it's funny to hear it. Chitria.
I actually have few... I don't have many notes on this book.
I don't have any
realizing.
notes for chapter 3, 4, or 5 until we get back to the doctor, back to the barn.
Yard.
Personally.
Really? You weren't blown away by that whole stuff with Mr. Tidwell?
Well, it
When you
didn't.
first heard about it?
Did it happen? Oh, when I first heard about it? Funnily enough, the only part I remember having a reaction to, the only part I remember my reaction to for this book from long ago is the pipe part, which I find very scary.
Yeah, the pipe part was terrifying.
Yeah, thank you. The pipe part, I was like, freaking, and they just kept, like, adding stuff on. I feel like the book didn't really convey how scary it was. Like, they kept saying, like, oh man, one wrong turn and we'd freaking die, lol. But then it would just go back, like, I don't know. This is why,
Yeah.
like, I don't know if the pacing on this book was that great. Because, like, I did, like, just gush about, like, the foreshadowing to the, the Yeerk's experience with sight and all that. But then when it actually happens, it's, like, one paragraph, and then it's like, oh, wait, sorry, we have to get back to the mission. Oh, sorry. And it's like, man, it's almost like this book should have been 2 books, or, like, they should have, like, picked a different storyline or something. I'm not sure what they could have done. But
I thought it was
really
it had
underwhelming, honestly.
Too many different plot lines.
It's honestly really underwhelming when she actually turns into a Yeerk. Like, given all this like stuff in the first part of the book, it's really weird that like the first 2 chapters where they're at the dance are like maybe the best parts of the book.
I
For
don't
me.
agree with that at all.
Yeah.
Well, okay, the surgery scene's epic.
I
but,
think
like,
the fact that she already had a whole book sympathizing with Yeerks, it makes sense that it wouldn't be a huge deal when she becomes one.
yes, it would. It would be a gigantic deal to actually become a Yeerk.
Well, no,
That would make it a bigger
but
deal.
she has heard several explanations like from Yeerks and she can sympathize with them already, so it makes sense that like emotionally she would be more prepared than like any of the other characters would.
Yeah, but then the book is like, whoa, it's so amazing, whoa, and, like, it's still, the book doesn't really convey that she's emotionally prepared. It's more like, wow, it's more about, like, how awesome it is and surprising.
Yeah.
Like, the book doesn't convey that, is my point.
Doesn't?
Yeah, I thought it conveyed it fine, I don't know.
It just seemed way too fast. This book was like...
Well, just read slower, idiot.
I was reading this pretty fast. I did finish this book in, like, 2 hours. I don't know if that's fast for most people. Apparently it's fast for you guys.
So I don't think this book was incredibly predictable. Like, when Mr. Tidwell was talking, like, I didn't know, like, I wasn't
I thought he
certain
was
that...
simply the strictest teacher in the school.
No, I
That's
wasn't...
why I wrote down
I
in my...
wasn't expecting him to be a controller.
Yeah,
Or
well...
at least,
Like, he was like, oh, I know you're an Andalite. I was like, oh, no. And then I was like, oh, I'm a good Andalite. I'm like, oh, yeah. And then...
Yay, more allies.
And Cassie kept being unsure if he was lying. I was like, I really unsure if he's lying either,
Yo.
Yeah.
Like, it was well written, I think, in that way.
Well, that's why, like, the idea of a, like, consensual relationship between a Yeerk and a host is really interesting, because the Yeerk can literally just take over your body at any moment and seamlessly make it seem like it's not.
Yeah.
Like, it can copy everything about you, and it can even imitate what you would do if you were in a consensual relationship with a Yeerk. which is like why the idea. So like my fan fiction was about like what if the whole society was structured around consensual relationships with Yeerks and hosts, but what kind of like measures would have to be in place for like to make sure that they're not like the Yeerks aren't taking advantage of that. And it's like really difficult to think of how that would work.
Okay, see, I forgot about a lot of those details. All I remembered was the idea because that was a new thing to me.
I don't think you went into the idea of the whole society being structured around that. I just remember you talking about the relationship that they have and how it like turns abusive after a while.
Okay. I don't think I like described literally everything.
No, you didn't.
So, yeah, that was my idea.
We were talking about. We had like one conversation about this like 2 years ago.
I'm surprised you even remember it then.
Well, because it was a unique idea to us that we haven't read in a book before.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's fine. I don't care.
Yeah, no, it was cool to hear. I liked hearing the possibilities of that.
Okay, I liked that Eric was doing something different in this book, but I don't think it communicated well enough why he couldn't just do the surgery.
I was confused. I was like, wait, why isn't Eric doing the surgery? Where is Eric right now? What is he doing? Why is he there?
He's
Where is
playing
he?
rock,
When
paper,
is he
scissors
there?
literally the entire book.
With Axe, the entire book.
In the barnyard.
I think Eric can't perform surgery because it would count as violence.
That's
pierce
stupid.
skin.
That is stupid.
I don't like that.
Is that what they said?
But, okay.
I mean, that's what I would assume the answer is, but I'm not accepting it because that is dumb.
Okay, hold on. Even if, let's suppose that Chi are okay with doing surgeries, right? Because, like, suppose that Chi's code doesn't say that surgery is violence. Yeah. But Eric doesn't know where the Churia gland is or, like, anything about Andalites. So if he performed the surgery, he could kill X. So that would be violence.
He could guess the surgery better than Cassie.
But he would still be able to kill X. Like, he would
also,
there's still a high chance he would kill
any, like, research or information about Andalites at all.
No.
The Chi just don't know anything about their anatomy.
No.
Man, Cassie just casually cuts through a skull.
That book part was really cool. Even though I felt it was a little rushed, maybe, but like,
it was rushed.
It was so cool. Like, I don't know. This is the end of the book now. Though.
Yeah, it's just like the whole thing with the sickness. I mean, I liked how it came together, but like it felt too long coming together. Like for most of the book, I was like, why is these both in this book too, and why is it so important that we can't have the rest of the Animorphs be involved in this? This
book did kind of feel like that horse drawing that like gets progressively more like crude as it goes on a little bit.
I don't know. I don't think I agree with that. But
the surgery part was cool. I'm just saying things felt more rushed as it went along.
There was a part about Eric that I wrote down where like Axe is delirious from the illness, and Marco said like if Axe goes into delirious mode, he could go running into town with his underpants on his head or something, and Eric won't be able to stop him. And then Cassie...
I was like, can't Eric put up a force field?
Hug him or something?
Like the narration says...
Or a force field.
Cassie's narration says he was right. The Chi aren't programmed for violence, any kind of violence. And it's like, you can't like push someone out of the...
Before they meet Eric, they walk into his house and then Eric's dad or something just hugs them to hold them still.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
it's literally something that has happened in the books.
But this book forgot everything about the introductory Chi. Remember the Chi can create Candrona. Do you remember that? The Chi in the first book.
I didn't remember that.
In book 10, the Chi all have Yeerks in their heads, which they feed with Candrona and like put them in a matrix simulation to make them think that they're actually controllers, and that they put
them in a simulation.
Yes, and they extract information from these Yeerks. So this book completely forgot about that, and it's crazy how like this book introduced Eric, had Eric be a major part of the book. But then, like, because they forgot about the Chi being able to make Candrona, Eric wasn't able to play a part in, like, the resolution to Aftran.
Yeah, it's like, why wouldn't you reread the first book with the Chi? Maybe this is just another thing where it's like, forgot that...
Yeah, I totally forgot about that.
I forgot that humans being able to thought speak was too OP, so I gotta...
Yeah, I think it is that. It's just that. Because, like, I'm pretty sure the Chi have appeared in other situations before the ghostwriters kicked in, where it, like, wait a minute, don't they have Yeerks in their heads? And, like, that was, like... conspicuously. Like, I'm pretty sure I might have brought this up before. I don't know.
So you're not just making that up, because I don't remember that.
That's literally true. Look up, like, do Command F Yeerk book 10, and then, like, I don't know, Candrona or something. Like, yeah.
I'm able to use my own internal power to generate Candrona rays to keep this Yeerk alive. When I go into the pool, I'm able to trick the Yeerks into believing that my Yeerk is swimming in the pool. I generate a hologram of the Yeerk, leaving my ear and dropping into the pool, and then I create a hologram of it returning. They just have Yeerks in their heads? It's like, it's so weird.
I remembered that part, but I forgot how it all worked and how they kept the information away from the other Yeerks.
I don't remember what the point of this is. I guess it's just to get information from the Yeerks, but, like, how much information can you get? Like, they'd have to just be using the same Yeerk over and over. Like, they can't, like...
I think because, like, then Yeerk can go to, like, the sharing meetings and stuff, and they'd be like, oh yeah, that's another controller guy.
Yeah, I guess... Oh, wait, because they met Eric at the sharing! How did they forget this? This is how he was established, at the sharing! Literally, they started being suspect of him because he was at the sharing, and he was handing out flyers for the sharing. Okay, like, we gotta talk about, like, what counts as violence for Chi. Like,
did they use him as a shield at some point, or was that just something we said they should do?
Something we said they should do. Yeah. He's handing out flyers for the sharing. Does that not directly lead to violence later down the line when people take these flyers and then go to the sharing and get the Yeerks violently shoved in their heads?
No, I don't think they can. I mean, because there has to be a line drawn somewhere where the domino effect of people getting hurt.
Yeah, that's true.
I assume it's just direct.
I guess so.
Violence, but even so, yeah, that is pretty.
Even so, you could stop someone from running in the street without pants on, without direct violence.
Yeah, you can like.
All this to say that
build a wall.
Eric could definitely do
Eric
that.
could build a brick wall in like 2 seconds. I don't doubt that.
Yeah, Eric is useless. But I'm glad he wasn't just like, oh, Animorph, look, I have a mission for you.
Yeah, I'm glad the Animorphs had a mission for him. Didn't even say something like that? Like, usually I'm the one with bad news.
Yeah, something like that.
I did think Eric was good in this book, though, overall. Like,
yeah.
I was confused about what he contributed to the surgery and when he was where. But, like, his introduction and, like,
I liked that he was handing Cassie
that goes along, too. Like, the chance that Eric would screw up and kill Axe is higher, but, like, would his programming recognize that as being violent?
I think so.
Was this said in the book or not? That's why.
No. It wasn't. This is
us just speculating as to why the book is less
something else that I thought was interesting was that Eric literally says that his another Chi used to be a French doctor in the 15th century.
Why can't he get his other Chi friends to help out with this project?
He said, in the 15th century, weren't doctors just like cutting arms off?
That's what I'm saying. Like, okay, was this Chi like a really weird doctor who was like, okay, actually, like, I'm just not gonna do any of that weird stuff to you. I'm gonna like do like nothing. Okay, I don't know.
I didn't even think of that.
Could they prescribe? I guess they just prescribe herbs and that's it. Like, I don't know. What do you do in 15th century France doctoring, if not some kind of surgical violence?
Yeah.
Be Natural, thank you for knowing that they can produce Candronaways, because I can't believe that is like insane to me.
Yeah.
I'm putting that in the canon channel right now.
No, it's not. It's not canon though. It's like gone. It's like forgotten. Gone but not forgotten.
I think that's the point of the canon channel, though, right? Things that are established in one book, so we can compare it when they're conflicted in a later book.
Like how Rachel has a million white teeth.
Maybe Eric just saw that Aftran was slimy and gross, and he just didn't want to bring it up, and he was glad all the Animorphs forgot about his Kendrona producing abilities.
Yeah.
Maybe
I wish Aftran got to stick around.
Maybe the Chi had Candrona batteries that they were built with like 17 quintillion years ago, and they just happened to run out, all of them, in the time between book 10 and now.
Somebody knocked over the shelf of Candrona batteries.
Yeah.
And whoops.
Isn't that how, like, major plot moves forward in, like, Harry Potter 5 or something?
Well, in Harry Potter, like, they have the time turners, which let you go back in time, and obviously that's way too broken. So, 2 books after that would have been useful. They have a character bump into the shelf that conveniently has all the time turners on it, and knock them over and break them all. So...
That's what happened to the Chi Candrona.
No more time travel.
I don't think you're allowed to talk about Harry Potter on Animorphs podcasts.
Listen, I read the books before I knew about J.K. Rowling.
Didn't we all?
Anyway.
But you know what? I mean, I guess since we're talking, I kind of want to go in order for this book, but if we want to talk about the ending now...
we don't have to.
Okay, let's go in order.
Okay.
Does anyone have anything for chapter 3, 4, or 5?
No.
My next note's about Eeltown, so, like, I don't...
Okay, I'll do chapter 6. Alright, so, like, I feel like the major theme of this book is, like, choices, and, like, so Rachel says, "Right, Cassie?" Looking angrily at me, I met her gaze without blinking. My voice was steady. "That's right," I answered. "I wasn't going to pretend that we wouldn't be in this situation if it wasn't for me." Like...
What?
They wouldn't be in the situation of, like, needing to save Aftran, like, Aftran about to tell all the secrets to Visor 3 if it wasn't for her, and it's like, Cassie doubts if she should have even saved Aftran in this book.
Yeah, that's cool.
To save the life of a person I didn't even know, Karen. I risked the lives of my friends. I'm not all noble and wonderful. I did it because I was a coward. I couldn't take the life of a little girl, or let Marco do it for me, even though I knew that by letting her live, a whole planet full of people might die, or worse, become infested by Yeerks. And I really think it's really cool that she thought that, like, her doing this wasn't, like, a noble thing at all. It was, like, a cowardful thing.
Yeah.
A cowardly thing. Even though, like, you know, it would result in much scarier situations down the line, so it's not even, like, it's effective cowardice. It's just, like, she's, like, characterizing herself as, like, a worm for this sort of thing, for just wiggling out of responsibility, basically. And my choice turned out to be the right one, or had it. So, okay, now we're at Eel Town. Who suggests the eels? Tobias. Tobias says, eels? Why don't I just keep my mouth shut? Slimy little thing. Looks like a Yeerk. Foreshadowing.
Dude, when they said that, when they said, like, Tobias had to acquire
wait,
I was so worried that, like, it was going to be like all the previous books where Tobias had to acquire an aquatic creature and he gets stuck on it in public. He was like, please don't do this again, Tobias. It happened with dolphins, it happened with the whale, like...
Yeah.
What did they acquire the eels?
Tobias gets
them from
He just
somewhere.
gets them?
He gets it from a
Okay.
bait shop.
Cool.
It's like it has a trough of eels outdoors that he can get.
Apparently eels are the size of a finger. I didn't know that.
What?
Some of them are.
Yeah,
There's
these
lots
eels
of
are
different.
a lot smaller than I was picturing.
Oh, I thought
originally. I was like, why don't they just use their trout morphs? But then I realized that would be too big.
I legit thought eels were like... Hang on, what's something that's like eel-sized?
Maybe eels?
No. Like a
Like a
baton.
lanyard.
I thought they were like
Yeah.
baton-sized. That's how big the one in the eel slap gif is.
Yeah, eel
Yeah.
slab.
Is that eelslap.com? Does that website still exist?
Did they ever say what species of eel they're supposed to be?
No. They literally just describe it as eels. Like, they don't do a good job of describing it.
Yeah,
do
I
they?
was surprised that they didn't like do some electricity bullshit in this book.
Maybe they will in the future.
Eelslap.com is a fun little website.
The golden dwarf moray eel is a small species of moray eel that only tops out around 12 inches in length, I guess. But there's then the half-banded spiny eel. This species of all the spiny eels is the smallest. The maximum size is 8 inches, so I guess they were just, like, baby of those, I guess.
Yeah.
Can morph babies.
How does that work? Because, like, age is not in your DNA. Wait, they literally morphed baby seals in book 25.
How come they never said what kind of eel it is? They like, specify like birds when all birds are the same, but they don't say what kind of eel this is.
No,
They're, like, presuming that we know more about eels than we do. Because I didn't even know you could get eels from a bait shop.
I didn't either. Mustard, all birds not being the same is what saved this book. Is what saved Cassie in this book.
I don't remember.
Okay, we'll get to that, I guess.
So, the water tower that sits in the corner of the mall parking lot.
Everything is near the mall. This is the
Sure.
90s. The planet revolves around the mall.
That's
Seems
true.
like a weird place for a water tower, but okay. I like that it was dark, like being in a big swimming pool on the
I don't
darkest
know.
night.
I don't know how they got into this water tower. Like, I guess you can just
They just
according to
climbed up and then
according to this book, you can just open the door and walk in to
I think
Yeah.
I think
to
and
the
that's
tank
the-
of
and it's a
water
pool,
for
yeah.
the whole city. Just
I think
pour
you can
whatever you
open up
want
the
in there.
top, I think.
But how do you get there?
There's a ladder.
I guess they fly, but like there's like a door, like apparently it's just unlocked.
Yeah, I don't know how water towers work. They seem
Yeah,
scary.
they conveniently skip over that part. An hour later, Rachel, Marco, and I were treading water inside the water tower.
No, I'll say I think this was a decent plan. Was going through the water tower into the Yeerk pool to the toilet.
Yeah, I was surprised that it didn't
But
work.
then I didn't end up doing it.
And I liked Eric's role in that, where he was like telling them, "Okay, yeah, go down these pipes. Remember that." Like I thought Eric's role in that was nice, and
Eric,
the plan was not that bad. Certainly better than book 3, where they went up to the fish blending machine
okay,
or whatever.
hold on a minute. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
It reminded me of book 3, yeah.
Like, you're much less likely here to get blended by a Yeerk blending machine, although you still are kind of likely for that to happen.
Yeah, I was confused by like the logistics of
I
getting
love
stuck
how
in the
that happened in
pipes.
book 3. Like, they literally just went, because Tobias is the narrator in that one, and he can't do anything, and they go in the ship, and then Tobias has, like, a paragraph where he's like, I feel so bad that I'm not with them, and then, like, 2 seconds later, thought speech comes out, hey, Tobias, we need to save us, it turns out you can't just go into a lake, and then go through a tube, and, like, just go out into a sink immediately.
yeah.
But that still is the case here. I mean, like, at least here there's, like, a chance of them coming out in, like...
Well, Eric told them exactly which pipes they needed to go
Right.
and go somewhere safe.
But,
Wait,
like...
don't all pipes lead to the ocean?
Yeah, but not all like blimps that suck up water in book 3.
But still, no, I would not have gone through with this plan personally, even if I was an Animorph, because, like, no, I when I'm driving on the road, I'll miss, like, unlabeled streets that I need to turn on, okay? No way would I freaking, like, in the pitch dark, with no, like, echolocation or anything, like, know how to turn at every pipe. Like, the level of difficulty here was insane.
Yeah,
like,
way too impossible.
The precise number of large pipes, water mains, we passed by on left and rights, the elbows turns, the main we had to turn into, then the downward elbow, the smaller turnoffs, and finally the long vertical drop that we would signal. We were descending to the Yeerk pool. It was too much detail. Axe would have remembered it all, but Axe wasn't with us. Like, that's so scary.
Yeah.
There was a line where it said, like, don't think about the fact that we could all end up trapped in a water supply tube heading to some toilet in an abandoned building no one ever flushes. Like, I don't know the logistics of how, like toilets work. Wouldn't they be able to swim up the toilet without it flushing?
I feel like they'd just be in the tank, right? I don't know how toilets work either.
Well, if they're in the tank, then they could demorph, and I feel like
exactly.
the porcelain isn't strong enough to, like, for them not to break that.
Well, they would just demorph and, like, lift up the top of the tank and get out.
Yeah. So, like, I was confused about exactly how
there
they
were
would
worse
get
things
stuck.
that could have happened. Like, they could have just been in, like, a faucet. Like, would have been worse to be in, like, a faucet where nobody ever turns on, where there's, like, a grate separating it.
I don't know. Isn't that
metal.
still, like, kind of connected to the toilet? I don't know how water reserves work. I feel like they
We need to get a plumber on this podcast.
Yeah, we need a plumber on here.
Actual plumber reacts to Animorphs Book 29, The Sickness.
Dude, that'd be great.
You know, you've seen those, like, videos on YouTube?
It was like Doctor reacts to Beavis and Butthead hurting each other.
Yeah.
I thought being an eel didn't seem like that bad of a fate. Like, eels seem cool.
Nothing to see. Well, yeah, but an eel in a freaking, like, faucet that nobody will ever turn on and you can never escape and you're
just
trapped.
die in, like, some water. What is eel?
Okay, Mustard.
Nothing to see or smell or feel but the sensation of speed, of falling forever. This is like a high stakes desensitization tank. What are those things called? Deprivation tanks. This is like a high stakes deprivation tank. We had a millisecond to react. We were at the pipe. The current yanked at my body and pulled it to the right. I fought it with all the sinewy strength of the eel's body. Then we were past the water main. We always heard them, but almost always too late. It was harrowing. A wrong turn and there'd be no telling where we'd come out. Like, I don't believe they would get this all right on the first try. And I guess to be fair, they didn't. But, like, I'm surprised they even got as far as they did.
Well, and the only reason I didn't is because Jake started, like, getting sick, delirious from the sickness, so he forgot everything.
Well, okay, now I'm surprised that him being delirious from the sickness, they didn't get split up. Because, like, I was like, how are 5 of them supposed to, like, accurately do all this all at once? And you can't even talk to each other in, you know, because of how short of a time it is.
Well, then they all started grabbing onto each other's tails.
Yeah. I like how what they end up coming out of, because, like, reading this, I'm like, they're just, like, 9 out of 10 times they end up in, like, a closed faucet that won't get turned on for a while. For well,
what do you mean 9 out of 10 times?
Like, I feel like...
the likelihood?
Yeah.
Okay.
But, like, instead they come up... But, obviously the author had to put them in some situation where they could end up escaping. So I like how the author just put them in the most dangerous situation possible where they could still conceivably escape. Like, oh yeah, there's a burning building right now, and they're...
Yeah, that's pretty silly.
And they're come out of a fire hose, and also the building is, like, within walking distance of their house. So that's cool.
I thought it was funny when they were talking about Jake, and then Cassie opened up the ThoughtSpeak to include Jake. I wrote she CC'd him in, because ThoughtSpeak is an email.
I like when like, in this, something that I wrote in my fan fiction as, like, a potential thing that could happen, actually happened in this book, where somebody, like, wants to just think something, but they accidentally say ThoughtSpeak it, and then somebody else is like, what?
Yeah, that happened with Cassie and Tobias.
Yeah. Don't think about it, I told myself, but I guess I said it in ThoughtSpeak, because Tobias asked, don't think about what?
It's terrifying.
And then she says something scary. Like, this book, I don't know, something about this chapter is a little off, because they just keep saying things that make it scarier and scarier. Like, oh yeah, if Jake starts demorphing, he'll just get too big and get crushed in the pipes.
Yeah.
They just say that and then move on to the next thing, and then they say more scary stuff. And, like, I mean, yeah, they do say, like, oh, it's scary, but I don't know. For some reason, it doesn't seem like the author, like, fully grasps how scary this is. At least, and maybe I only find this scary because I remember it from when I was 13, but, like, still.
No, it's scary.
It's scarier than, like, other stuff in Animorphs, though. Something about it. I'm surprised they didn't bring up how Tobias doesn't like water and claustrophobia in this.
Yeah, if this was a Tobias book, he would have got stuck on the eel and then been afraid of water.
Yeah.
Can we talk about
It's not about him.
Can we talk about how funny it is that a bunch of eels came out of a fire hose? Like, imagine if you're a firefighter and you're spraying water and you see 5 eels shoot out of it.
One at a time, and they all make sloop noises.
Yeah, like one of those funny snake tubes where you open up a can of Fingles and
It's like that.
it would be just like that.
Firefighter takes break from fighting fire to be like, hey dude, look at this hose.
And then 5 eels just shoot out. And...
Also shoots really high pressure water in friend's face.
That was like
killing
so funny.
friend, but it was funny.
That was so funny to me that a bunch of eels came out of a fire hose.
And then it splattered against the window.
I'm glad that gave you so much joy.
Yeah.
They do splat against the window. Marco lists off every different term for throwing up.
Dude,
Some of which
a lot that I haven't heard of.
Yeah, like Technicolor yawn.
Dude, if this was a Jake book, we could call it Jake Tangos with the toilet.
Man, why is this not a Jake book?
Jake
Come on, Melinda Metz, get with the program.
Every Jake book is dancing themed.
It's not even true. The Booty Boogie was just made up.
Wait, what was that? Which one was that?
I think the last Jake book we
read.
Where we just talked about the Booty Boogie from Donkey Kong Cartoon for like 5 minutes, and then that was the episode title, and will be.
Jake does the Booty Boogie.
I thought it was kind of funny that Marco, when Jake threw up, Marco was like, "Oh, I'd give that a 4. Sorry, your projectile force is not where it should be."
Wow, Marco was YMS
Kind of
Adam.
gross.
Yeah.
It is kind of gross, but I thought it was a fun little joke to make. I like Marco.
I give it a 6.
Marco,
Closer to a 5 than a
keeps
7.
light heart
This book felt like an Animals book again, more so than
It
the last
did.
few we
It
read.
really did.
It was wacky.
Well, I don't have any more notes until chapter 13.
Yeah, that's where my note is. That's where my one note is.
Whoa, Stir! Everyone be quiet. What's Stir's note?
What? We didn't get there yet.
Chapter 13.
I like when, I forget who it is. I think Cassie's talking to someone on the phone. Whatever, they're having a phone conversation, and, they always have to talk with code on the phone, and they're like, "Oh, Jake's flu is normal." Hang on, okay. I don't remember what it was. But they
Our other friend is much more sick. Our other friend thinks that everyone else is just gonna get the flu for some reason. That's how alien sicknesses work. At first I thought okay, well maybe Axe got sick because the trachea gland is a gland that collects disease organisms away from the rest of the body. So I was thinking maybe he just got the human flu and that's what caused this, and that's why the others are getting human flu from him. But then Tobias gets sick too, so I don't even know.
Our other friend has a much, much worse case of the flu. Our other friend says he thinks Jake will just get the usual flu, throwing up, fever, headache. Our friend has some long, partial, delirious explanation you don't want to hear. So there is an explanation, but you don't want to hear the reason that is.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
I love when movies do that and books too.
Well, Animals does this all the time.
Yeah.
Like, "Oh, Axe, we don't care about that. Don't tell us how that works."
Author, I totally thought of how this works, guys, but you don't want to hear it. I'm too smart for you.
But I thought that was a nice little phone discussion. I don't know.
I think it'd been cool if Tobias didn't get sick, because I liked how Cassie and Tobias had to work together. That's an unusual pairing. I mean, combo. I don't mean pairing in that way.
Yeah.
I think it'd be cool to see them working together. But I like the part where Cassie snaps at Tobias. That was funny. So I guess I'm okay with how it turned out.
Wait, and then they take turns watching Jake so he doesn't accidentally say something deliriously that Tom would hear to indicate he's an animorph. Randallite or whatever.
Do none of them talk in their sleep? If I was an Animorph, we'd all be so screwed.
Most people don't talk in their sleep.
I'd be screwed if I was an Animorph.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
I revealed to some people some sensitive information about which cartoon character I have a crush on when I was at summer camp the other year. In my sleep.
Was it Team Rocket Jesse?
No. Am I bluffing? Am I what?
Are you making this up?
No, I actually did. The first night that I was at I was staying in a cabin with some other people. The very first night, I said I have a cartoon crush on Team Rocket Jesse in my sleep. The very first night.
No way.
I literally did, very clearly.
Wow.
And there were 3 other people in the room, and when I woke up, they were "Name, do you have a crush on Team Rocket Jesse?" And I was like, "How do you know that?"
No.
So
That's how they all found out?
Yeah. So I'd be a bad Animorph.
Studies have found...
That was always my worst fear. Not with sleep
really
because I
was.
don't do that, but when I went to get my wisdom teeth pulled out.
Yeah.
That was literally my fear with that too.
Yeah.
Incineroar's fat strong.
Yeah. Wait, that was the tweet, wasn't it? That was a famous...
It was who's Incineroar? You kept talking about him.
I'm worried that I'd say something that I don't even believe, just because, like, you know, my thoughts sometimes, like, you know, say stuff that I don't believe, like, oh man, what if somebody said this? You know, like...
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, are we ready for chapter 13?
Yeah.
Alright, Stir. Where's a drum roll?
I can add one in.
Okay.
I'll add in the one that I recorded. I recorded a drum roll. I recorded a drum roll on my dad's old laptop with the laptop mic, and it sounds really weird. It sounds like it's underwater, and I sampled it for Judas Shaken at the beginning.
Oh.
And that is the unedited audio at the beginning of that song. Is just what came out from that mic, and it sounds really weird. And I'll put that here. Anyway, drum roll. No, I'm putting it in.
Okay.
So Mr. Tidwell's Yeerk leaves him.
What?
For another boy.
I mean, no. Mr. Tidwell's Yeerk, like, gives Mr. Tidwell control of himself. But he's like, Cassie can't tell.
Mm-hmm.
That's way different than book 2. Where when the Yeerk, like, gives the person back control, he's like shaking and can barely talk because he hasn't talked in a while.
Well, that makes sense because they're not in a consensual relationship.
Well, yeah, I thought of that too.
Yeah, I guess that kind of, well, it doesn't prove anything because the Yeerk can always pretend, but I mean, like, if the Yeerk really does give him back control, like, half the time, then he wouldn't be, like, shaking and weird.
Yeah, I like that. I like that I couldn't tell. You know?
I wonder, because, like,
I didn't know if he
actually,
was lying at this
now
point.
that you say that, I wonder, like, because usually... I mean, in this scene, we see the Yeerk pool, and, like, characters are walked back to their cages, right? So, like every 3 days, they do get to walk around somewhat. So I wonder if, like, Chapman is just so, like, bad or something that, like, they... Well, no, because he's... I wonder how that works, because, like...
Wait, was it Chapman who was shaking?
Yeah, it was Chapman.
Huh.
Like, how does he... Why does he have no control of his body? I guess, like, Capelgate just hadn't thought of it yet, except they had, because they had a scene in the Yeerk pool before that. I don't know, because, like, what did they like,
thinking that hard about
or maybe okay, maybe Chapman
wanted it to be a cooler moment.
Maybe Chapman is, well, here's my headcanon to make it actually cool. Chapman is high ranking enough that he gets his own personal Kandrona thing, and he straps his host into a chair while swimming around instead of going to the Yeerk pool. Okay, there.
Oh, I have another note.
Whoa.
Oh, what is it?
On chapter 18, Mr. Tidwell says that when Ilum leaves, he feels, I don't know, empty.
Yeah.
Which is just interesting.
Yeah, it is.
He's like,
For all the same
yeah,
reasons we already talked about.
I want the Yeerk.
I want
It's like when you've had a dick in your butt. Like,
For 3 days, yeah.
Yeah, it is like that.
I wonder if, like, the back of his skull gets... Or, not his skull, but there's, like, a kind of a gap where his brain was kind of, like, stretched to fit, and now it has to, like...
Ew.
Like, back into place, you know?
That's a strange thing to think about.
Oh no, if this Yeerk peace movement thing goes through, like, in 200 years, Yeerk's gonna be making memes where it's like, host, I swear you're my first one, his brain. Like, no!
Oh, the peace movement is growing. We now have nearly 100 members, but not all Yeerks in the movement are hosts. Okay, I'm putting that in the canon channel.
Yeah.
Nearly 100 members. I mean, that's a lot, but, like, looking back, that's not a lot. Like,
no.
There's probably... Aren't there, like, millions of Yeerks on Earth, maybe? Maybe, okay, at least, like, 100...
Aren't the
at least
Yeerks
tens
mostly consolidated in this one pool? Like in this
I guess
one
so.
pool?
So, at least, like, tens of thousands.
They're just... Basically trying to take over the tri-state area.
He really is.
The Yeerk peace movement is growing.
Oh, something I wrote is, why don't they just get some other Yeerk who's part of the peace movement to do the operation?
That's a good question.
Like if there's a Yeerk inside a doctor?
Well, how are they gonna find one?
Yeah, I guess
Tidwell!
At this time
Tidwell
of night.
knows all the rest of them.
I'm guessing that a lot of the Yeerks in the peace movement, they don't have, like, regular meetings and they have difficulty
But I
meeting
guess a
up
lot of
since
them
they're,
don't
like...
have hosts.
They're, like, locked into, like, they have to go back and forth and pretend they're
Yeah,
normal Yeerks.
there's no Discord group chat for the Yeerk peace movement, sadly. What if the Animorphs took place in, like, 2020s and, like, all of the Yeerks just had a Discord channel for, like, or a Discord server for, like, all of the Yeerks?
They'd be spamming.
Well, that's like, that would be like
chat.
book 15 or whatever. No, book 16?
I forgot about Dabson.
They're like, oh, kill all Yeerks, I hate Yeerks.
Yeah, that was just one chat room, though. What if they had, like, a Discord server, and there was, like, channels where it's, like, just Mr. 3 being like, okay, you guys, we gotta...
Well, they would if it took place in 2023, yeah?
Yeah, and then, like, what if the Yeerk Peace Movement, like, there was, like, a secret channel in the Discord server for the Yeerk Peace Movement?
React with the peace sign if you want to give it access to the Yeerk Peace Movement.
You have to say, I want a Happy Meal with extra sad, and then they put you in the new Yeerk Peace Movement channel.
So... Anyway, I know we already talked about like him getting in his car and stuff, but Cassie tells Moko about his plan to morph this Yeerk, and he says like, but he says, Moko says like, Moko like basically is like, oh that's crazy, and then he says, but what if you pull it off, and then he passes out because he's sick. So, like, at first she thinks that's him, like, going, like, oh, yeah, go for it. But then she says, oh, I later realized that Moko had seen the flaw in my plan. If I succeeded and rescued Aftran, then what? I'd have an outlaw Yeerk without a host, and without the access of life-driven Kandrona rays, I could save Aftran only to watch her die. And I thought that was cool, although we talked about how they could have easily fixed that with the chi.
Yeah.
But, and then I wrote down...
It was a cool line anyway.
I wrote down, dude, what if this... book ends, because this is like midway through the book, with Aftran staying in Cassie's head for the rest of the series. Like
that would be epic.
That seemed okay.
And then Cassie they could go to the sharing and just be an undercover controller.
I'm gonna read my notes in full.
Cassie could continue being a good character.
That seems awfully hard for ghostwriters to pull off a sudden change like that.
Yeah.
It would totally change the writing style of future Cassie books. Well, I guess that's only every 5 books, though. Maybe she could, like, keep her secret until the next Cassie book, so the narration is totally normal for the next few books, but Cassie's actually a controller, and, like, you don't even realize. I find this unlikely, but it sure would be interesting. I see it as a possibility, for sure.
Yeah,
that's so sad.
So, I was very excited writing that.
I like what they did with the ending of this book, but I have to admit it was a little disappointing that Aftran's probably coming back.
I thought the ending was good.
It was satisfying.
Yeah.
Depending on how the Gleep
it makes sense that they wouldn't go
works.
through with my idea, I think.
It's possible that they like edited it to make sure that Aftran's DNA is not allowed anymore.
Oh, they did that?
Well, it's possible. Like it's not. I don't know if the
What
Gleep
would be the benefit of that though?
So that
just
Rogue.
to kill her?
I mean, so that Rogue Yeerks
don't they
can't
still
get
want
it.
to know about the peace movement? I mean, wouldn't Vista 3 still want to torture her?
Yeah.
You mentioned decisions being a theme in this book, and I just found this quote. I didn't know how Jake did it. How could he make life or death decisions and not go insane with guilt and grief?
Yep. I wrote that down. I like that, and that also kind of relates to when Cassie says that like she was a coward. That's why she made that decision. It was like she doesn't give herself credit for these things that she does that like. But then when Jake does it, she like is like, "Oh, Jake made the right call," or Jake is just so brave for making the decision at all. But when she makes a decision, it's like, "Well, I was a coward."
Yeah, that's kind of how life is.
Yeah. I like when Tobias gets sick in chapter 16. I mean, I said.
I have something about the end of chapter 15.
Yeesh.
It's when Cassie's dad comes into the barn, when she's not expecting him. And he sees her in the stall, and he's like, what's going on? And then, she kind of freaks out. He says, "You can't fool me, Cassie. I knew you were in that empty stall, and why?" My heart gave a hard double thump. "You do?" I asked. He nodded. "You were pretending you were a horse, weren't you?" He asked. I hadn't played
End
that
of
game.
chapter.
I hadn't played that game where I pretended I was a horse since I was about 5. Okay, maybe 6. But I didn't tell my dad that. I just gave him a weak smile. "Yeah, you caught me."
I love it.
And that was a very good moment.
Yeah.
Made me happy.
Because Cassie's dad is great.
Horse book.
Yeah, I'm kind of coming around on Cassie's dad. He's still kind of a weenie, but
Why would you think he's a weenie? What has he done?
Is he the one who talks about chili?
Because he likes chili so much.
Isn't that why he's Star's favorite character in the whole series?
That's his defining
for
quality,
that reason.
because it was his introduction, is that he loves chili.
That's literally all we know about
also,
the
he
damn
used to
guy.
have a truck that he loved
Yeah,
that Marco
and
wrecked.
He has a truck that
still
Marco
loves him
wrecked.
from those things.
He
But
got
it's
his truck stolen.
like Cassie and her dad's relationship extends beyond the Animorphs books.
Yeah.
And,
No, I really like this
he
moment.
still kind of has this, like, innocent view of her that is obviously conflicting with, like, her being an Animorph and, like, murdering aliens and whatnot.
Man.
So
That's true. I didn't think about the horse moment in terms of the deep meanings, but it's true.
I also think it's funny that Cassie pretended to be a horse in the stall when she was 6.
That's in character.
Like a fun thing
That's
to
very
do.
it's
Yeah,
very
it
in
is.
character for her, too.
That's what I would have done, because my mom was a horse girl, so my mom was always trying to get me to like horses, so I definitely would have pretended to be a horse if I had a barn.
You would say Nay and Winnie.
I pretended to be a dragon.
Also,
instead,
Cassie
though.
can
I let
turn
my
into
mom
a
down.
horse in real life, also, by the way.
That's crazy.
So.
The parallels, man. What if, like, the parents finding out about the Animorphs is, like, via, like, the parents are like, whoa, Cassie, you can be a
You've
horse.
done it! You can be a horse!
Finally.
Guys, isn't it so sad that Cassie doesn't frolic around as a horse and hasn't done that since, like, book 4 or whatever?
Yeah, because stuff is serious now. She kind of did it in book 19. It was kind of the inciting incident of book, like, that was, like, what she was doing when she got caught by Karen, but, I mean, it wasn't really, like, a happy frolic. It was like I just can't freaking, I'm so sad and angst.
I forgot about that, actually.
It was like,
So I guess that's
angst
another
frolic.
callback to book 19 or whatever.
I keep reading ads for Taco Bell that look really good.
Stu is like so. Stu, I thought you were supposed to be awake right now.
He's just checked out.
He is. His eyes are open.
You were like lounging. You look like very tired.
Yes, I am.
No.
I don't have anything left to say.
I guess that's true.
This book didn't captivate you like it did the rest of us.
We all give this a big thumbs up. I'm surprised you and
I wouldn't give this a giant thumbs up, just like a hearty thumbs
Bad
up.
Don't
It's
Be
a
Natural.
big thumbs up.
Bad and Be Natural both gave it a
I
heart.
gave
gave
it a
it-
Kirby.
There were parts of it that made me feel like, oh, but like it wasn't like a fantastic book overall.
Was
but
it when
had,
the whale came back?
No, it was when Cassie was being nice to her friends at the dance, actually. So,
I feel very strongly that like
or
this
the
was,
relationship between Assie and Caftran is what made me give it a heart as well.
Assy and
Cassie,
Catherine.
more like Assie.
Damn. All right, but like this book like just freaking got really raw at sometimes. Like
Yeah, it did.
trying to
I
block
had a
out
great
all the
time.
what ifs. What if I didn't get back before Axe reached his crisis? What if my plan didn't work? What if I got sick before I could save Aftran? What if I screwed up? What if? What if I had killed Aftran when I had the chance? Like, that just came out of nowhere. Like, but it was cool. It was like, yeah, that's what, like, nice writing. Good job, Melinda.
Mm-hmm.
Can I read the description of her morphing into a
Yeah,
Yeerk?
go ahead.
My skin turned slick with the thin coat of mucus. It covered my entire body, oozing from the pores. My eyelids, which is just a single sentence, my eyelids. The spaces between my fingers and my toes, my
Classic
neck, my
animals.
legs, my stomach. The mucus thickened into a goo-like, half-set jello. It seeped into my ears, my nose, my mouth. I gagged as the mucus swelled in my mouth. My teeth began to dissolve as if the mucus was an acid. My lips melted together, closing my mouth on vanishing teeth and swelling goo. That was
That is scary.
one of probably the most disturbing morphing description I've read in this series, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if the most, but it's up there.
My body turned cold as a thick slime slid down my throat, packing my esophagus. Somehow I was still breathing, maybe through my skin. The mucus wrapped itself around my heart, and my heart withered and stopped beating. The cold slime turned my bones to ice, then they shattered into a zillion pieces. Only my eyes remained unchanged. They stared up at the ceiling. Mr. Tidwell appeared above me, his face contorted in horror. I think he was screaming. I couldn't hear him. His face became cloudy as mucus coated my eyes. His face disappeared as my eyes dissolved completely. What a long description.
Yeah, that was pretty epic.
I didn't remember
I
most of
feel
that.
like even the eel morph was kind of like memorable, you know?
Her
Like the eyes
eyeballs
going
like
on the
slid
nose or
down to her
something.
nose.
Yeah.
And it stretched out. It was kind of fanciful. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, the Yeerks don't have a heart,
I guess not.
I guess they wouldn't
but
based
the
on this description.
Andalites have more than one heart. So the Andalites are so much better than the
That's
Yeerks.
true.
They're so full of love.
I can't argue with that.
Yep.
Kill all the Yeerks.
Kill Yeerks.
Kill all Yeerks. I think slugs have many
I
hearts.
penetrated deeper,
Is that a quote?
puncturing flesh now, deeper inside. I inched along until I felt the faint tingle of electricity. I just had that highlighted.
I think you're just reading this as you're yawning. It's gonna sound so weird without context. I just think
Yeerks.
Sorry.
We find out that Yeerks move in like the cutest way possible. Like they
Huh?
go
They're
squinch,
like
squatch,
little
squinch,
inchworms
squatch,
that go
squinch, squatch through the
Oh,
water.
that's fun. I don't remember that.
Scrunch.
You
What did she
don't?
say? Like scrunch something?
I love that she can feel like the neurons in their electricity and feel them connecting to her.
Scrunch thrust, scrunch thrust, scrunch thrust. Stir, no. Do not lie all the way down. You can lounge, okay, but do not no lying down with your head in the pillow. Scrunch thrust, scrunch thrust.
Put on one of those things that cover your eyes when you're sleeping.
Why would he do that?
I don't know.
Don't do that.
Put on one of those things that makes it look like your eyes are open.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You have like open eyes on your eyelids.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a note about lore that I think contradicts something.
Lore bar?
Whoa, in this book?
In chapter 19, they go through the biofilter. All it detected was human and Yeerk, both authorized life forms. So it can detect something inside another thing. But in the last book, it said, "Oh, we can be flies in a cow's
Right,
nostrils and be
I
fine."
forget about that.
Okay, but last book was also like super contradictory because they didn't have to close their eyes, which this book says you have to do. You have to close your eyes to not get your eyes damaged. And last book that didn't happen.
Well, I didn't see that as a big deal.
Okay.
Well, it is.
Wait, when did they say they didn't close their eyes?
In the cow book, none of the cows closed their eyes.
How do you know that?
The Animorphs didn't close their eyes.
How do you know
either.
they didn't close? Did they say
my
I kept my eyes
God.
open the whole time?
Well,
This is directly them saying. I mean, I will say, I think Cassie could just be wrong here. I think that's a reasonable explanation that she
That's
just
true.
forgot how it worked.
or they just used like a different kind of gleep biofilter.
Well, yeah, because I was about to write down. Oh, it can detect you. So like both the Yeerks and the humans are authorized into the system. I was like, wait, no, but that doesn't make sense because in the last book it said it doesn't.
But
look
then you're
inside.
like, how does the gut micro? Do they really like? What about people who have like? What about dust mites? What about mites in your eyebrows?
Oh wait! Hang on! I just realized actually, it was detecting the Yeerk in his coat pocket.
Okay.
That was the authorized Yeerk.
How is it that it can see through a plastic baggie but not through human flesh?
I mean, I think it makes more sense that you would see through clothes.
I don't think. I don't know. No, it's just a plastic bag. It's
They
a
have
zip
to.
one.
They have
Well,
to.
what if they're wearing like a raincoat?
Yeah.
Or a poncho?
Listen, like the TSA, it's all about the imagery. If
Wait,
they-
is the Yeerk still with him in the bag in the coat?
yeah,
at this point?
I was wondering like why are they taking the Yeerk with him? Like why not just leave him at home? But then they had a good reason for it.
Wait, but hang on. Okay, hang on. If the filter can't sense Yeerks inside, wouldn't it be like, hey, that's kind of weird that there's a Yeerk here that's not inside someone?
I don't
Something
think that-
fishy's happening.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, you gotta have Yeerks on the authorized.
That's true, I think.
You
yeah.
can't just not have Yeerks on the authorized.
I think
species
I don't
list.
think the filter is like an AI. I don't think it's like smart.
I guess that's probably not checked by a person. I guess.
Yeah.
It's just like it zaps people.
Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, that was some lore, maybe.
So this book just has yet another description of like people wanting to die in this Yeerk pool. Somebody's like screaming like, "Why couldn't you kill me?" over and over again. Like, and they just move on. Like, eh.
Yep.
There's a part of this lore that I really liked. When Cassie goes into the Yeerk pool as a Yeerk, it says, "Then I was free, out in the Yeerk pool. I was blind, almost deaf, mute. But here's the strange part. I didn't care. I was with my brothers and sisters, soaking in the Candrona rays my body craved. If I had a mouth, I would have let out a long ah of satisfaction. I was home." And I liked that, because I think it was a long time ago, like, Stuart was like, "Oh no, I think they're probably happy in the Yeerk pool."
Yeah,
And
they are. They're happy with
I
slugs.
feel like some of us argued. I don't know. I think some of us disagreed
Well-
with that. And I like this confirmation that they feel home at the Yeerk pool.
It's really cool.
Okay, but they still, they still feel more free when
Yeah.
they're in a body.
Yeah, well, I imagine it's like more stressful to be like in a human being, you know.
Oh, for
compared to,
sure.
like, in the Yeerk pool.
Yeah.
So you know, I like that they don't just like hate it. in
Do
the
Yeerks
pool,
have
but-
like return to sluggy memes where
Reject humanity.
reject Hork-Bajirity? Being a Hork-Bajir must be stressful as hell.
Yeah, you have
Yeah.
to fight.
Yeah.
So,
Well, Karen didn't want to be a Hork-Bajir anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
I like that detail a lot. That it's not like
Karen
they're
be
being
like,
tortured. They're just,
reject
like, bored.
Hork-Bajirity, return to billionaire's daughter.
Yeah.
Swim.
Oh, okay, so like, there's no freaking way that Cassie like gets out of this without everybody knowing who she is, because the Yeerks can use sonar to identify when a human head is going into their pool, to the point where it's implied they can even recognize which human is theirs. yet they can't like, there's like freaking thousands of Yeerks all around her at every moment, and they can't figure out that a human is morphing into an osprey in this time of crisis when some weird stuff is happening, and that a human is morphing into a Yeerk.
Well, what are they gonna do about it?
Tell somebody when they get back into their hosts. It's going to be information that is going to be known.
They can't see her.
Oh,
they can use sonar. They have sonar
to recognize her face.
That's right.
Well, how else do they
Somehow.
either
But
they
they
can
know that
recognize
she's a human that can turn.
they can
into a-
recognize
Oh,
when a
yes,
head is
yeah.
going
That's a
into
big
into the pool, and I feel like they can recognize human faces. Maybe either they do, or they have some system that Cassie just didn't mention, where they like tell the Yeerks, like they're like, okay, this is this host now. Come on, get your host.
Cassie didn't explain that.
So like I feel like they just recognize their host using sonar, but they can't. They don't. All the Yeerks just happen to be looking away when Cassie was morphing.
Yeah,
okay.
I do think this whole scene was kind of like, what is her plan? This seems very hectic and dangerous. Why is she doing this?
I kind of liked how chaotic good it was. Like
It wasn't.
She possesses another
bad.
person, and I
Yeah.
but although they do kind of be like, well, she was a voluntary host, so she, we can do what we want, but
Like,
it's
that was
still,
convenient.
it's still like, I thought it was funny that Cassie possesses like a middle upper class white girl and bites Visor 3. Like, good for her, I guess.
Well, there's also a part where, like, speaking of, like, nonsense, where she, like, goes up to breathe, but she only sticks her nose out so no one sees her.
What, really?
And then a Yeerk gets lodged in her nose.
I don't remember this.
That part doesn't happen, but it should have. Cassie should have inhaled a Yeerk.
Yeah, she goes up for breath, but she just sticks her nose out of the water so no one sees her.
Yeah. And then and this is the part about the birds. I really like the part, because, like, when Cassie was like, how the hell do I escape? I was like, I have no idea, girl. I was like,
I have no
but
idea.
she's, like, really smart. She was, like, dying, and this was, like, she was, like, smart in a believable way. It wasn't, like, it didn't feel like an ex machina. Because, like, she morphs an osprey, like, almost every book, but I forgot. And she was, like, dying, but she remembered, because she's, like, animal girl, She's seen more animals, and she's been more animals than most people have seen in their lives, as we
I
know.
didn't forget that she had an osprey morph.
Did you think of it in the
I
moment?
I don't know what an osprey
Like,
is
oh,
and how
just
it's
morph an
different
osprey
than
and
other
be fine.
birds.
Ospreys
so.
can, like,
Well,
dive in the water.
I know this from the book.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have thought of that.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
I
but
don't
like
know how-
it was
I
a
don't
way
remember
that
that
it was
detail.
believable that she was like smart in this way. I just liked it. But it's not enough to morph an osprey, okay? Because they do see her as an osprey, and also the hunter robot.
Wait, is it pronounced
Caesar?
osprey or osprey?
I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah, it's not enough to just be an osprey. She has to.
osprey.
The hunter robot's there. How do we solve this problem? What's the way that animorphs solve their problems? Most often.
What is this? Oh, I forgot. Poop is a major factor.
I
in
was
the
like,
plot.
the last few books have been about poop, and I'm like,
Did you see the word poop in your notes and be like, wait, what is this referring to?
I was like looking forward to this book. I was like, okay, this is going to be the book that'll break the trend of poop being a major factor in the plot. But no, it didn't. It just was in a way I forgot.
Has that been in like the last 3 books?
Yeah, well, the last book was a lot of poop in it.
I
As
don't
you know.
remember too much.
They were
Yeah.
chimpanzees. They threw poop at
Oh,
Mr. Three.
yeah.
That's right.
It was like a month
They
and a
like
half
stuck
ago.
poop to his eyes.
Yeah,
That was messed up.
I swear something happened in book 28. Like, it must have. That book was poopy. Even if it didn't have poop in it, that book was poopy.
And that counts.
I was so shocked that Cassie didn't die when she bit Visor 3's wrist. Like, how did that work?
Because he's so shocked.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like they should have just killed the girl host. I don't know. Like, the book is willing, like, literally, like, Visor 3 shooting Dracon beams through the Yeerk pool, and it's like dozens of Yeerks writhed and died. And it's like, oh no. But, like, they just can't kill a human character.
Dude,
So Cassie doesn't get to feel quite as bad, even though she supposedly thinks of Yeerks as people.
I just searched the word poop, and I realized that in the intro of this book, they foreshadow this, because in the first chapter it says, I admit I sometimes have a little bird poop on my jeans. I spend a lot of time helping my dad take care of the animals at the Wildlife Rehabilitation Center he has out in the barn, and birds being birds will poop.
Nice.
Wow, smoking.
And then he
balls.
also, later he says, Cassie, some of the, Cassie of the sometimes bird pooped jeans was with Jake.
This author is a genius, even with the poop references.
And then, a bird poop bullseye.
They do turn into seagulls at some point during book 27, so I
didn't.
feel
So,
like...
so she poops on the camera robot. I didn't remember this part.
Yeah, I totally forgot
I did
about
not
that.
either.
All I wrote in my notes was poop, poop in all caps. So
Wait, like, was that a command?
no, I don't think so. I don't remember. I wrote like a month ago.
I swear they poop in book 27.
And then I wrote
I
woo in all.
swear
I wrote
they
poop with exclamation, and then I wrote woo in all caps. I don't know exactly what this was referring to. Honestly,
You're just so happy about the poop part.
I guess. I don't know. And then I would wait, how did she escape? I'm confused. Oh, well.
Well,
Someone just happened to be walking in as she was trying to get out.
yeah. Well, no, I feel like
the
people
door
are going
open
in
for
all
her?
the time.
I guess that's true.
Maybe she probably would have realistically waited like 2 minutes.
Okay, cute X moment at the beginning of chapter 25, which there are actually a lot of, but we don't need to mention everyone. Poor baby. I ran my fingers over his soft glowing tan fur. His sides heaved with every breath he took.
Wait, did Cassie say poor baby in the
She
narration?
did.
Yes, she did.
She said
Really?
baby like twice.
Well, not in
towards
the
him.
narration, she just said it out loud to him.
Oh, to Axe?
But she calls him a baby. She's like, "You poor little baby bones." Earlier.
Yeah, she does say that.
Wow.
Like, she just goes full on mommy mode.
Because that's something you say a lot.
Me?
It's
No,
instinctual, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of instincts, Cassie says that she could put Aftran in Axe's ear because Aftran's Yeerk instincts will just make her go in the ear. I assume by this she means that Aftran's very lived experiences of just being rescued by Cassie and not knowing where she is, and assuming that if she sees an ear that she can go in there. Because otherwise, if it was just Yeerk instincts that make you go into an ear no matter what, then I don't think Aftran could have possibly kept her promise to Cassie about not going into people's ears.
Yeah, really.
So I assume that was just a kind of a mess up.
I thought this was an interesting plan. I'll put the Yeerk in Axe and then it can... Wait, what
Tell me
happened
where
exactly?
where the tri-gland is, yeah.
Wait, if she's an Axe, is she not affected by the illness? I guess not.
She's
Isn't it a brain illness? You're controlling a brain that is...
She has her
Yeerks that go
own
insane
brain.
from oatmeal.
She has her own brain that can think for itself.
I guess she could thought speak then. Oh, is that what happened? She thought spoke?
She thought spoke using Axe's brain.
Okay.
So like
Yeah,
I
so
guess
that would get kind of screwed up.
I guess that part of the
Maybe.
brain was fine. I mean,
Okay.
she didn't make him be conscious.
Okay,
So
I think it was.
That's true. They didn't because X can thought speak fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay.
It's just the thoughts are
I don't think I had the thought while I was reading. I was thinking, because it's been a while since I've read this. Although I wrote in all caps, putting Afton into Axe's body seems like a really dumb idea. Like, are you 100% certain that this Yeerk is Aftron? Like, she wasn't, like, talking to it. And, like, what if it was the wrong one? I don't know. That seems way worse than when she put it in herself to me. I might have to go back
She
and check
wasn't
when she grabbed
100%
the
sure.
I
it
Yeerk.
was
honestly have
Aftran,
no
I
idea what
guess.
else she was supposed to do in this situation, so I was...
I'll just stab
I
Axe
was-
willy-nilly. I don't know.
I did not remember this part of the book, but it was really cool. I'm glad they did that.
It was a cool idea. I was just
Yeah,
like,
it was cool.
this
It
seems like...
kind of justified these two plots being
I
together.
didn't think about her not being completely sure that
Well, yeah, because didn't he just, like, grab Afton and was like, oh, yeah, this seems right. Like, I don't remember them talking
Well,
to
yeah,
each
I
other
mean, they were
at all.
underwater with, like, a billion Yeerks everywhere, and she, like, just grabbed something. Like, I mean, she knew the general direction of where Aftran was.
Yeah, but like Yeerks can't talk when they're not in the body.
No,
right?
they can't.
So,
like, the
she had-
whole time, she was
she had
basically
no
just
way of-
carrying a wet rag around.
She had no way of being certain that was Aftran. So, like, imagine if she put a Yeerk in that and then there's a second Visitor 3.
Second
Like, I could
visit-
imagine
oh,
that happening.
I thought you meant, like, literally, like, the Yeerk
No.
was, like,
Yeah.
Visitor 3, too.
It probably would be more powerful than Visitor 3 because it's not a
Would-
stupid
would've freaked
Visitor
out,
3 who's
yeah.
going to kill everyone.
Yeah.
would have gone hungry with power.
So I'm glad that didn't happen, I guess.
Imagine having an origin story. Imagine being Visitor 3, too, and having an origin story that convoluted.
This was an insane book. I look forward to the Visitor book.
Yeah, I really love the surgery. I love how Cassie is just, like, she's hyper competent, but, like, in a believable way, but because she's also still really nervous, and, like, then, like, Eric, like, wipes sweat off of her brow, like, without her asking, and then she's like, sweat, later, like, because she's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, you should do that. Like, I don't, it's but also, and it, like, it still felt kind of rushed, but, like, almost in a deliberate way. I'm not sure if it was deliberate, but it kind of did feel like it was, like, almost anticlimactic, because it was so fast, but it would be that fast, kind of, like...
I really like this scene because I know we just had like the previous chapter was a fight scene, but this was kind of like the climactic final scene where we would usually have a fight scene at the end, and instead it's something that is, I would say, like as tense but is way more subdued. It's like a
Yeah.
surgery. It's a different kind of stress, and it was like
Easier
it was
to
a
tell
very
what's going
nice
on.
change, I think, to have the final scene be a surgery instead of a big fight.
Mhm.
Yeah, no fight, no chase.
Yeah.
They don't run away. I mean, she runs away, I guess.
It was a very welcome change to me. And then I was really worried that Axe was going to just murder Aftron as soon as it went out.
He was so racist.
He was so racist.
He's saying you should have let him die. He would have killed himself with his own blade before he let a Yeerk infest him. But then they do explain later that it's because, like, he didn't know that she was helpful, but I thought he meant, like, knowing who Aftran is, he still felt that way, which maybe he does, but, like, they kind of make it seem like that might not be the case later.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, he didn't know, he just woke up and there was a Yeerk in his brain. He didn't know who this was. And then Aftran says, Cassie, there's something I have to ask you to do for me. Anything, I replied instantly. I need you to kill me.
Yeah, it was metal.
Yeah, you're right. This is kind of anticlimactic because then it just ends and I have no more notes about the result of the surgery. It was just like, oh yeah, the surgery idea was cool.
It
but
worked.
It did work though. It worked in the book and I think it also worked as a scene, in my opinion. I want to read the rest of this Aftran dialogue between Cassie. We both know I'll be dead in 3 days no matter what you do. You have witnessed Kandrona sedation. I ask that you spare me that. End my life now. You can make it fast and painless. And then I felt a lump of unrushed, because Aftran is still inside Cassie at this point. I felt a lump of unshed tears form in my throat. Wait, what?
Unshed tears.
How do tears form in your throat?
It's metaphorical.
Were they mine or Aftran's? Maybe they were both of ours. That gave me an idea. You could stay in me, I explained. So I was like, oh, cool, they brought up the idea. Mm-hmm. No, you would have to go to the Yeerk pool every 3 days. It's too dangerous. If you were somehow found out visibly, you would learn everything about your friends and the peace movement. I will be lost. And I was like, okay, that makes sense.
That's true.
Yeah. She must have felt the wave of despair and sorrow sweeping through me. It is not so bad to die for what you believe in. There are much worse deaths. Many worse deaths.
So I got the impression here that Aftran, like, isn't that much of a militant person. Like, she isn't, like, really that into, like, the fighting part.
No, duh, this was totally established in book 19.
Yeah, I guess that's true. A disconnect to...
She's very passive. She wanted a more passive role.
This book is a direct sequel to 19, really.
She just doesn't, like... I thought it would be cool if Eric still had the Kandrona thing, and so there was a choice. And so she was like, okay, I could stay and fight, but then, like, I think it'd be cool... Because this book was about choices. I think it'd be cool if she was like, okay, but I choose... I'm sorry, Animorphs, but I'm going whale. Goodbye.
Honestly, I think going whale is better than just
satisfying.
Being stuck inside of an android.
Well, no. Well, she could be in Cassie and have the Kandrona from Eric.
Oh,
like she,
right.
Or she could morph constantly and have the Kandrona from Eric. Like, you know,
yeah.
Sort of. But I think it's cool. Like, I think it would have been cool, and then they could have explored, like, well, Cassie's choice led to this, but then it took Aftran's choice to lead to this part. Like, it's not just Cassie who's the main character of the universe. Like, you don't know what your choices will do because of other people's choices. And I think that would have... this book did, and book 19 both had that conclusion, but I think that would have been cool. This is my idea.
Mm-hmm.
Would have been cool if it was, like, a choice she made to... because, like, it's in the book just, like, the chapter just ends as if Cassie might actually kill Aftran, and then the next chapter it's like they're at the beach and they don't talk about Aftran until...
Yeah, I want to talk about that, because I thought this was really cool that Aftran says there are much worse deaths, and then the chapter just ends, and the next chapter is the animals just talking to each other, like, the next day.
Yeah.
And it's like,
My
I was
mom
like...
didn't love me any solid food until today, Rachel complained.
By that point, I was like, wait, did Aftran go inside Cassie? Like, I still wasn't sure if they didn't go through with their plan, you know? I thought it would have been really cool if, like, they went through with it and, like, the animals are just talking, they don't even know yet, you know?
That would be cool if Cassie, like, kept it from the other Animorphs.
Yeah.
And that tied into the beginning part I was talking about, where she was like, I love my friends and want them to be happy, but they don't share my opinions on Yeerk's. You know, like, that would be cool if she, like, kept it a secret. I don't know exactly how well that would work out in terms of character, but, like,
I
it's
do
a cool
agree.
idea.
I think it would be too dangerous in the universe, I think. I mean, unless they have Eric deliver Kandrona as he can, but they forgot about it. But I think I agree with the decision, I think. And I like that the decision was, like, unanimous of what to do. Like, everyone agreed on it.
No friends.
And
so they just had the cube still?
Yes, they do.
They had, like, Eric hide it or something. I don't remember what happened after David.
Didn't they, like, split it into, like, 5 pieces and hide it across the city?
That was fake, wasn't it? Because, like, they were like, those were just Lego pieces that we were finding.
I don't remember.
But maybe they did actually split it in 5 pieces. I know that when they were having David collect the 5 pieces, it was actually Legos, but I don't remember if they actually did break up the cube in real life or if they didn't do that at all.
Anyway, they still have access to it, so...
Yeah. No, I don't think you'd want to, like, get rid of it entirely. That would be bad.
Yeah, well, my dad brought me baby aspirin from the store. Baby aspirin, Marco groused. Like, for a baby.
Everybody else is talking about, like, throwing their guts up and not being able to hold down water, and Marco's like, I was made to feel infantilized.
This is thematically related to the horse scene.
Yeah.
Because their parents, like, think they're babies.
Okay.
And then Axe is still, like, freaked out. Yeerk was in my head. In my head...
Head.
That's just like what he's talking about.
Verified tang.
Their friends complaining contest.
They do have a friends complaining contest.
It's so nice.
I was.
I like it because they're all complaining about stupid things, and then Axe's is actually like terrifying.
Yeah.
I like the part where Cassie's in Tidwell's head and she's like talking about how like she doesn't want to be like she feels like she's invading his privacy, but
yeah.
she can't even help it.
Yeah, there was a part where like she like accidentally like looks through one of
Yeah, we
his
skipped
memories.
over that part. I kind of wanted to bring it up, but you're too far ahead by then.
Yeah, we can talk about it because I didn't have any notes on it.
Memories of him being depressed and memories of like him being with his wife.
There's a picture. There's like him like looking at a picture of his wife on his mantle or something and being sad.
He goes to sleep with a picture of his wife on the other pillow.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's literally.
Okay, I thought you were making a joke.
Well, I mean, it kind of sounds like a joke a little
Yeah,
bit. I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know if anybody does that in real life. If you do, then that's fine. It's just something I've only seen in media.
Man, yeah, I can't believe I didn't have notes about this because when I read the book a second time, this scene really started. We should finish the ending of the book and then go back to this.
I think
maybe.
we did, didn't we?
Well,
okay. The ending of the book. Sometimes we do win. He agreed. This time, Cassie, you won. Nice.
I was very shocked.
Thank you for giving Cassie credit for this book.
I was very shocked when it was revealed that gave the Yeerk the power to morph. Because at first I was like, dude, is she going to like join them as a team?
I really wanted there to be a Yeerk Animorph.
That would be epic, but the ghostwriters can't establish things, apparently.
I think being a humpback whale is pretty cool. They've established the whales are very powerful and cool creatures in book 4, and I think it's
they
fitting.
swim.
There's a chance that F-Tran will come back and rescue them in a Deus Ex Machina type thing.
That's
so
true.
That's hype.
Yeah, dude.
That's true.
So I think humpback whales are great.
Doing that.
I'm like, can you imagine living in the ocean after the Yeerk pool, and in a body powerful, able to see, hear, feel, and communicate?
Yeah.
I mean, they can swim. They can echolocate. They are social animals. I don't know if humpback whales specifically are social, but whales are. So
this was a really nice ending, I think. Yeah.
Like Cinnamon Bunza said, and then so she went off into the ocean only to die of loneliness because of no interaction with any other creatures. And
whales have souls.
They're social, and also
but have you guys read book 4?
Yeah. Whales are super intelligent. Okay, they're gonna be having like complex philosophical discussions out there.
Like regardless of what you actually think of whales, in the universe of Animorphs, Cassie says that whales may be the other creature than humans on Earth to have souls. Like. You know.
Yeah. Man, the ending of book 4 was so stupid.
This was such a satisfying ending for this book, I think.
Yeah. I liked it.
Are we done with the book then?
Well, I want to talk about what's his name, Mr. Tits.
We already said that. What else is there to say? Cassie is upset. She tries to stay away from looking at his memories because she doesn't want to be like that.
Well, I like that she says
her instincts are forcing her to.
I don't want to be that Yeerk.
Well, I like that she says I wish I could apologize, but I haven't yet figured out how to thought speak in this body, or how to communicate to this body or something. Yeah. And I like when she tries walking, and Mr. Tidwell's like, "Oh, don't worry, I'm a clumsy guy."
Yeah, she bumps into
he's so
something.
Nice.
Yeah, Mr. Tidwell was a great character.
Tidwell is so cool, and yet he's the strictest teacher in the school.
Yeah.
I wonder why he's the strictest teacher in the school.
Because he's depressed.
Because he's depressed.
I guess so, yeah. He just hates kids.
Joke time. Stur just, very slowly walked over to where the joke book was, on the drawer over there.
It was like the ceremonial giving of the joke book. It was very
ceremonial.
Well, I didn't want the keys to be jangling while you were talking. That's why I was so slow.
He's so thoughtful.
Yeah.
He's very thoughtful.
Okay, tell the joke.
I literally don't remember what the next book is. Oh wait, it's Megamorphs, but I don't remember.
Oh, nice.
I'm excited.
And then it's Alternamorphs, but I don't, the next...
Alternamorphs? Oh my god.
But I do not remember what book 30 is. I was, thinking about it in my head, what's book 30? And, I know it's a Marco book, but, I don't remember.
Gonna be another North Pole one.
Okay, knock knock.
Who's there?
Iguana.
Iguana my nuts.
Iguana study chemistry. Yeah.
Oh, that is what it is, isn't it?
No.
Iguana study maths.
It's not school related.
It's not school related. What kind of knock knock joke is this? In the jokes book, no less.
Is it I want to do something?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. I want to suck your blood. I want to drive the bloodmobile.
That would make more sense. I'll just say it, I guess.
It doesn't make any sense.
No, it does. You can keep guessing, I guess.
Why don't you give us some hints?
It's you.
I was already close.
No, it's a request.
I don't want to guess this.
Mustard.
I want you to.
Not
so
guess
I
this.
want a cake.
It is Iguana Go See a Movie. How about you?
Alright.
Okay.
Fell headlong. His body burst open and all his intestines spilled out.
What's that?
That's the episode ending noise.
Oh, I forgot. How could I forget the episode ending noise?
What if I just go back? Because you
Go
can
back and edit those.
you can
out.
edit podcasts and re-upload a new audio file when they upload it already. What if I just edit that at the end of every
They edited a
episode?
burger into every thumbnail.
Yes.